Somewhere around your 60th birthday, your body makes a quiet decision, and it never asks your permission. It begins taking apart your own muscle, piece by piece, and carrying it away. And it is not because something is wrong with you or because you did anything to deserve it. This is a program running in the background, the same way it has run in every human body for hundreds of thousands of years. But after 60, that program changes in a strange and very specific way, and almost nobody stops to explain what is really going on in there. So today, I want to take you inside your own body and simply show you. Because once you see how this works, a lot of little things start to make sense. Why the lid on the jar feels tighter than it used to. The stairs seem to ask a little more of you than they did at 40. You can feel strong and steady one month, then notice the next season that your arms have gone a bit softer, almost when you were not looking. I am not here to frighten you, and I am not handing you a list of chores. I only want to walk you through one of the strangest things your body pulls off without ever telling you. Come on, let us look. First, let me clear up the biggest misunderstanding of all. Most people picture their muscles as something finished. You build them when you are young, they sit there like furniture in a room, and then one day, slowly, they wear out, like an old coat. That is not what happens. Not even close. Your muscle is nothing like furniture. Think of it instead as a house that is being renovated every single day of your life. There is a demolition crew, and there is a construction crew, and both of them show up for work every morning, inside you, whether you notice them or not. The demolition crew walks through the muscle and finds the parts that are old, worn, or slightly damaged. And there is always something worn. Every time you carry the groceries, climb a step, or even just hold yourself upright in a chair, you leave behind a little wear, like footprints in a carpet. The demolition crew tears those worn pieces down and hauls the material away to be reused. Scientists have a word for this constant housekeeping. They call it protein turnover. Turnover because the material is turned over again and again, taken apart and rebuilt all day, all night, your whole life. And here's the part that surprises people. Your body is recycling. Those old muscle parts are not thrown in the trash. They are broken down into their smallest building blocks, tiny pieces called amino acids, and those pieces are carried off and used again, somewhere else in the body. When food is short, when you are between meals, when you are asleep at 3 in the morning, your body sometimes reaches into your muscle, borrows a little material, and spends it keeping the rest of you running. Your muscle, it turns out, is not only for lifting and walking, it is also a savings account. A pantry, a reserve the body can quietly draw from when it needs to. Think of the middle of the night, long after your last meal. Outside, the world is still, but inside you, the work never stops, and all of it needs material. So in those small hours, with nothing coming in from the outside, the body leans on its reserve. It reaches gently into the muscle and borrows a little, spending it to keep your heart beating and your cells repairing until morning. This is old machinery. For most of human history, food was uncertain. And the nights were long, and a body that could lean on its own muscle through the lean stretches was a body better built to last. Your muscle has always been more than strength. It has been your buffer against hunger, the reserve your ancestors leaned on when the food ran thin. You are carrying that same reserve tonight. For most of your life, this works beautifully, because the two crews stay in balance. The demolition crew takes a little apart. Right behind it, the construction crew builds a little back. Torn down, built up. Torn down, built up. As long as they match each other, your muscle stays about the same, and you never feel a thing. It is one of the most elegant balancing acts in all of nature, and it has been keeping you standing since before you could walk. So if the crews have been matched your whole life, here is the real question of the day. What changes after 60? Why do the scales start to tip? Because they do tip. Starting somewhere in your 30s, most people begin losing a small amount of muscle each year, so slowly it is invisible. But after about 60, that slow trickle can pick up speed. The demolition crew keeps showing up, faithful as ever. It is the construction crew that starts arriving late, working slower, and sometimes not quite hearing when it is called. And that gap, that small and growing gap between what gets torn down and what gets built back, has a name. Scientists call it anabolic resistance. Hold on to those two words, because they are the secret at the center of this whole story. Let me explain what anabolic resistance actually means, in the plainest way I can. When you were young and you ate a good meal with some protein in it, that meal sent a signal through your blood, a kind of message that traveled to your muscles and knocked on the door. And the message said, simply, material has arrived, time to build. And the construction crew heard that knock loud and clear and got to work. In a young body, the door is thin and the crew is right there waiting. One knock and they answer. After 60, the door gets thicker. The very same meal sends the very same message, but now the knock is muffled. The construction crew is still in there, still able to work, but they do not hear the knock as easily. You have to knock harder, longer, before they answer. That is anabolic resistance. Your muscle has not stopped listening. It has just gone a little hard of hearing. And this single change explains an enormous amount of what people feel as they get older and blame on simply, well, getting older. Now, why does the door get thicker? There is not one single villain here. There are a few reasons working together, and I want to walk you through them because each one is its own small wonder. The first is the signal itself. As the years pass, the message that a meal sends grows a little fainter, and the muscle grows a little slower to respond. Same food, quieter knock, sleepier crew. Nobody did anything wrong. The volume simply gradually comes down. The second reason is movement, and this one is beautiful in how simple it is. Muscle is not shy about what it wants. It wants to be used. Every time a muscle contracts, every time you push up out of a chair or reach for a high shelf, that muscle sends up its own little flare that says, I am needed, keep me. When we are young, we move constantly, without thinking, and those flares go up all day long. As life gets calmer and gentler, as we sit a little more and reach a little less, the flares go up less often. And a muscle that stops hearing that it is needed will eventually assume it is not, and let the demolition crew get a little ahead. There is no cruelty in this. Your body is simply being efficient, trimming away what it believes you have stopped asking for. The third reason lives in your gut and your dinner plate. As the years go by, the body gets a little less skilled at pulling the building blocks out of food and delivering them to the muscle. The pantry door sticks, so even when the material arrives, less of it reaches the crew that needs it. 3 small changes, a fainter signal, less movement, and a stickier supply line, none of them dramatic, none of them announced, and together, over years, they are why the scale tips. Let me take you somewhere most people never get to go. Let me take you down under a microscope, into the muscle itself, so you can see who these crews really are. A muscle is made of long, thin fibers, bundled together like the strands inside a thick rope. And lying still against those fibers are some of the most patient cells in your entire body. Scientists call them satellite cells because they sit at the edge of the muscle fiber like a little moon beside a planet, waiting. For most of their existence, they do nothing at all. They sleep. But when a muscle is worked, when it is challenged and needs repair, these sleeping cells wake up, move in, and become fresh muscle. They are your body's own repair reserve, tucked away against the day you need them. Here is the tender part. As the years pass, you have fewer of these sleeping repair cells, and the ones that remain are slower to wake. So when the muscle is worn and calls for help, fewer helpers answer, and they take longer to arrive. But, and I want you to really hear this, they are still there. Even in your 70s, even in your 80s, those repair cells have not vanished. They are dozing, waiting to be called. That single fact is one of the most hopeful things in all of human biology, and we will come back to it. There is one more thing happening down at that level, and it is why strength can fade even faster than size. Your muscles are wired to your brain by nerves, like a great electrical grid running through your whole body. Each nerve controls a little team of muscle fibers, and the nerve plus its team is called a motor unit. It is the switch that turns those fibers on. As we age, some of those wires quietly go dark, and when a wire goes dark, its little team of fibers loses its switch and falls silent, no matter how healthy those fibers might be. This is why, sometimes, the loss of strength can feel like it comes faster than the loss of size. The trouble is not only that there is less muscle. Part of what remains has simply lost the switch that wakes it up. There is a detail here worth pausing on, because it explains something almost everyone notices but few can name. Your muscle is not all one kind. It comes in 2 great families of fiber. One family is slow and steady and tireless. The fibers you lean on to stand, to stroll, to hold yourself upright for hours. The other family is fast and powerful. The fibers that fire when you need something right now, in a single burst. Catching yourself when you trip. Rising quickly out of a low chair. Hurrying across the road before the light changes. And here's the plain truth of getting older. The fast, powerful family fades first. The demolition crew, for reasons scientists are still working out, comes for those explosive fibers earlier and more eagerly than for the slow ones. Which is why, so often, it is not the long, slow walk that gets harder first, but the sudden thing. A quick push-up, the fast catch, that sudden burst of effort. People say they feel steady but no longer quick, and they are describing, without knowing it, exactly what is happening down among their fibers. The tireless family is holding the line. The explosive family is thinning out. And that is why a stumble at 70 is a different thing than a stumble at 30. Not because the will is gone, but because the fibers that answer in a flash have grown fewer. Now, if you have been listening closely, you might be feeling a little heavy right about now. A demolition crew that keeps working. A construction crew going deaf. Repair cells falling asleep. Wires going dark. It can sound like a door closing. So let me turn the light back on, because the science here is far kinder than it first appears. And this is the part almost no one tells you. Remember the two words at the center of this whole story. Anabolic resistance. Resistance. It does not mean silence or death or a door that is locked for good. It means a door that has simply grown thicker and needs a firmer knock. And a body that needs a firmer knock is a body that can still absolutely answer. Your muscle never stops listening. The repair cells never fully leave. The construction crew does not quit and go home. Study after study has watched people in their 70s, their 80s, even their 90s, and found the same encouraging thing. When those older muscles are asked clearly and patiently to do real work, they still respond. The knock gets through. The crew stirs. Strength comes back, and often real size along with it, in bodies that have been slowly losing ground for decades. This is why, in this house, we never say it is too late, because your biology simply does not agree. And there is one more wonder I have saved for you, maybe the most astonishing of them all. Deep inside each muscle fiber are tiny control centers, the little command posts that direct the building of new muscle. Scientists call them the nuclei of the fiber. And when you have used a muscle hard across your life, that muscle gathers extra command posts more than an idle fiber would ever normally hold. Now here is the astonishing part. Even if that muscle later shrinks, even if the years go by and it goes soft and still, scientists have found that many of those extra command posts appear to stay. The muscle seems to hold on to them, like a workshop that has been closed but never emptied. Every tool still hanging on the wall, waiting. Researchers are honestly still working out how much of this carries over in people, but it is where the whole idea of muscle memory really comes from. And it points to something closer to plumbing than poetry, a physical inheritance written into the fiber from the active years you have already lived. It means the muscle you built decades ago left something behind that is still with you, and it means a body that was once strong is never truly starting again from nothing. The workshop may be dusty, but the tools are still on the wall. And this, at last, is where the whole machine comes into focus. Think back to movement. Every time a muscle contracts, it sends up that flare, I am needed, keep me. And it sends its strongest right around the time material from a meal is arriving in the blood. Movement and material, the knock and the delivery, landing together on that thicker door. That is the choreography your body is running underneath everything, whether you ever notice it or not. And the building blocks themselves, the amino acids we met at the very start, are simply the material waiting at the door. When more of it shows up, the muffled knock finally gets loud enough for a hard-of-hearing crew to hear. That is all it is. No magic, no secret, just a signal, a delivery, and a crew that is still, always in there, waiting to answer. You do not have to do a single thing with that. You can simply understand the machine and let the understanding change how the rest of it feels. I am not here to hand you a plan, and I am certainly not your doctor. Your body is your own, and the person who can truly weigh what any of this means for you is your own doctor, someone who can see you and examine you. What I can give you is the thing that changes how the whole rest of it feels. Understanding. Because the difference between a body that seems to be failing you and a body that is simply waiting to be asked has almost nothing to do with the muscle itself. It comes down to whether you know what is really going on inside. So let me leave you with the picture. Whole. Every day, inside you, a demolition crew and a construction crew go to work on the living house of your muscle. For most of your life, they moved in step. After 60, the door grew thicker, the knock grew softer, and the balance began gently to tip. But the crew is still in there. The repair cells are still dozing at the edge of the fiber, waiting for their name. And the muscle, your muscle, is still listening for one clear reason to stay. That is not the story of something running out. That is the story of something that never, for one single day of your life, stopped being alive. Thank you for spending this time with me and for being curious about the strange, astonishing machine you live inside. I would love to know where in the world you are watching from, so leave it in a comment below and tell me, did any of this surprise you the way it first surprised me? If you would like to keep looking inside the human body with me in plain and honest language, come along and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself. You are more alive than you think.